to the RAC meeting. Glad you're all here, and there's a good group here, and we got a good program we're going to present to you today, and I hope you get something positive from this meeting. All right. And I guess we can open with the pledge, if you would, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I gotta tell you, I gotta share this with you. There was somebody was trying to tell me in my past somewhere that we're supposed to say one nation under God, not one nation under God, but one nation under God. Think about that, and we'll try something different next time. Yeah, right. Okay, what else? And all right, you know who the president is. All right, Kathy Moore is our vice president. Kathy over there, right? A very hard-working person. Yeah, she deserves it, people. She works very hard at this. And also working hard is Vienna Cape, our secretary. And the three of us make up the executive committee. And we meet, and we meet, and we meet, and anyway, that's it. Oh, all right, now our past presidents, and we have two here, all right? We have Sarah Chambers. Sarah? And where's Pearl? Yeah, there's Pearl, okay. And Pearl Birnbaum, and Janice Harris, okay. My fellow maniac, there she is. And of course, Ron, God bless him, and for all what he did for us, and dearly departed with that. All right, our council members, our RAC reps, all right? Carolyn O'Neill, Carolyn is here, is she not? Whoop. All right, is she not? She's not. All right. Alice Aragon from the second floor. Woo! Oh, you brought your kids, I hear. Okay. And Joyce McCutcheon, is Joyce here? All right. And Vienna, of course, you met on the fourth floor. Sharon Ehrenfeld. Yeah, Sharon, there she is. And Ron Carter. There he is in the back. And from the seventh floor, Letha Jones. There she is, right here. And our next slide will Pat Cummings from the first floor. There she is, Pat, down here. Pardon? What did I say, Pat? Yeah, close. Begins with P. Harry Hintz. There's Harry. Carolyn O'Brien. Al Roberts. Yeah. And Doug Hine. Thank you, Doug. Sue Schultz. And Janet Ulick. I get it right. And the GBT people. Ellie Anderson is no longer a RAC rep. Okay, and her story, I'll let her tell her story. All right, it's okay. It's positive. Right, it's not a bad story. Okay. And also Pearl Birnbaum, I guess, is from 7 and 8, and Ron was Eric. Hey, Ron. All right, those are our high, and our designated resident representative, Sandra Thorson. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for being here, okay? Oh, President's remarks. Yeah. All right, we can move right along. I have remarks, but I'm gonna save them for the end, all right, to the end of the thing. And not right now, folks. All right, one of the things that we try to do here is bring to you some detailed information about each one of the departments that we have here. And this month, we are going to feature the housekeeping department. And the chair of that department is Letha Jones. So Letha, who has worked hard on this presentation, by the way. Okay.
Oh. Can hold it up. Yeah. Yeah, all these yours, yeah, thanks. Okay, we want to acknowledge the director of our housekeeping, Martha, and then Carrie is housekeeping manager in this building, and Emmy is for GBT. So if you have problems with your, or questions about your housekeeper in your apartment, contact Emmy in this building and Emmy in GBT, Carrie or Emmy, or Martha. The housekeeping committee takes care of the watching the common areas. We don't do anything with the apartments. You can see your apartment is your housekeeper, and if you have problems, you contact one of the three people I just mentioned. We look at the common areas, in other words, the dining area, the atrium, the hallways, the pool area, the clubhouse, that kind of thing. I would like to say something about what we've just been through. We all know what we've been through, but you know, we've had a 100-year storm. It's been a long time, and we've had a lot of damage, and I think we all acknowledge that the maintenance committee has just gone crazy trying to do things right, but it also hinges on the housekeeping as well. We cannot do a housekeeping some of the things we have done. For instance, just a quick example. When a housekeeper cleans your apartment, she also vacuums the carpet around your door in the hallway. And that's how the hallways get that back. Plus, we have little robots go around too. Obviously, with plastic or paper or whatever in the hallway, they can't vacuum. There are several things that were brought up in our meeting that we know cannot be done until they are finished fixing what happened in the storm. Now, maintenance is working really hard. Sibby, we compliment you and your maintenance committee and your maintenance people on all the crazy stuff you've had to do in the last month. But it also affects housekeeping, and we know that. We know there are things that should have been done that we can't do right now. Please understand, we're the same way as maintenance. There are some things that we can't do until we get things cleaned up from the storm. Just please understand that. We'll get there eventually. Okay, next slide. This is our committee, and they do, like I said, they work very hard to check everything, make sure everything's okay. If something happens and you do see something in a common area, please feel free to either contact one of these people or contact Martha if there is a problem that has occurred right away and needs to be fixed right away. But if members of our committee who are here will raise their hands, ooh, there's a lot now. Yeah, Mark, Alice, okay, and there's Merv back there in the back. Okay, these people do work hard every month. They take time to look at what they're supposed to, and we do it as we walk around or as we are living here. But we do once a month contact or do what we're supposed to do as far as examining all the things in our charge. And we contact either Martha or Carrie or Emmy if there are problems, and sometimes all the problems that we report are fixed long before we have our meeting. So our housekeeping committee is just really great. The way you can help us is by treating this as your home. We hope you do anyhow. But, if you leave garbage, empty cans and bottles and things like that on end tables, on credences in the hallway, on places like that, our housekeeping people will pick those up and take care of them. But please, throw those away yourself. Treat it like your home. And be sure to treat it like your home. So, are there any questions for the kinds of things we do? Seeing none, I'll turn it back over to Bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it. I had the privilege of serving on that committee for 2 years, and I know what they go through, and they do a great job, and we appreciate what they do. Do we have the slides on the dining room survey? Okay. Can we go to that? Yeah, never mind that. I don't know how long ago it was now. But maybe a couple of months ago and so on, we had a discussion, we had several discussions in the council relative to the dining room program, the food service, of that whole topic. And we get into these council meetings and it would go back and forth and this, and then the arguments got heated and it just went on and so on. And so the council then decided, well, you know what we ought to do, since we represent you, the public and so on, maybe we ought to find out just exactly what's going on. How do the people feel? We hear a story here, we hear a story there, we hear a plus story, we hear a minus story, but what really is going on? Maybe we ought to do a survey. So surveys can be tricky. So we spent a good deal of time trying to create a good survey instrument. That took time, to make something that would be meaningful. And we had some help doing that. Some people were referenced and they helped put it together. All right, we did the survey. And you people who were surveyed, 509 of you, all right, 509 surveys were put out and 370 came back. And if you know anything about surveys, that's a good return. That's 72%, somewhere around there, going back to my thing here. All right, next slide. The survey was numerical in that we asked you questions about the different venues. Remember that? Right. We asked you about, premier dining, what is the we don't call it the pub anymore. What do we call it? The sports bar, and the different, and the grill and so on. And we asked you to rate it from 0 to 10, on this. And the results came back this way. That and this report here is basically general. I'm not here to give you the little details. Everybody wrote, not everybody, many of the people wrote comments, and that took forever to digest and try to put it in some sort of a form that would make sense and so on. But we did do that. Don Vore worked very diligently in trying to put this whole thing together. We appreciate it. And we found out that, here is what it says here, that food service basically was okay. The staff was great and friendly and helpful and patient, it says, and so on. We found that in the grill, which is the most popular of the eating places, the grill came out number one. That get the highest grade in this class that we had, and so on. And this is the thing you people commented about. The staff was great there. You said it was helpful. They were patient. The ice cream was the most popular purchase. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. They also commented that it was a good way to spend down your declining balance. Many people, put that down in there. You also, in here, you talked about how you could improve it, how it could be improved. Some of the takeout orders were incomplete. How about Sunday morning? What about longer hours on weekends? That came out in this thing. So, next slide. On the sports bar, the reports, again, we had about 300 people who commented on that one and filled out the form. The patty melt, the pork slutters, the wings, the salads, and so on were the positive things. In the sports bar, you commented frequently about the service and how good. And let me tell you about Jacob. The comments about Jacob, if he had run against Trump, he would have made it. He would have been the president. It was great. However, you did suggest some improvements. You wanted healthier foods, less fried foods. You want deli. You said it was this, but it is improving. That was repeated a lot. It is improving. That was good. And then another negative thing is that sometimes the food items are missed when you're on a takeout thing. And then you said, how about opening on Sundays? So you made some good suggestions. All right. Next slide. And premier dining. We had, again, about 300 people who responded to that. You see, some people didn't fill out the whole thing. They would skip some of the venues. So we had 300 people there. It's obviously in your comments there that you were adjusting to the change. It partially or totally satisfied. Well, that was a mixed bag there too. I said, how you're doing that? The premier dining, it's interesting. In premier dining, look at that on a rating of 1 to 10. 140 people, almost half of them rated it from 8 to 10. That surprised us, right? And then we had all right, you see the other statistics there. And some, there's some bottom numbers in here. What you liked about it, you liked the chef, you liked his meals. You said the chef menus were good. You said that this was interesting too, and I think it has to do with time. What happened is there was a change, right? There was a change in our old menu. And we don't like change. I mean, change is difficult for a lot of us to have to cope with something new. I still haven't learned how to work a computer yet, but maybe someday, I don't know. But So you resisted change and you commented on it. You didn't like the new menus. You didn't like this. You didn't like that, the change and so on. But you did show here, and I think this is good, there was some improvement. The recommendations, you said the food is good, but the cycle is too long. But that's changing. They've reduced the time of the cycle a little bit, right? You said more green vegetables, fewer starches. You're not happy with the dining room reservations and that system and so forth. Especially if you have to make a change. You were going to go on Tuesday here, but you now got a doctor's appointment. You got to do that. Okay, it goes on and on. All right, the next slide. The buffet. Again, we had a good response. 300 people shared, right? The popular ones were Asian, holiday, Italian, all right, you can read it up there and so on and so what you said, the salad bar and the buffet was fantastic. A lot of very good positive comments about the salad bar and the buffet, right? You suggested, however, how about goulash, cabbage rolls, stroganoff, fish tacos, and so on. Okay, next slide. Yeah, we learned that you care about this whole topic. We also appreciate the way you handled your comments and how you did it, because it gave us a good picture. And you know what? We've taken every one of those surveys and given them to Teresa. Teresa has them. I've seen them. They're in her office. She has read them. And you know what? She's anticipating some changes, all right? Because she talked to me about, maybe I don't want to go into it. It's her thing. It's not my thing, But maybe some modifications, some changes in relationship to your survey comments. Isn't that great? Yeah, that's right. I think it's good. The whole project, although it took an awful lot of work, it took your participation, I think has been a positive thing here. I think also what happened is the timing. We started this thing in September. We were going to report in October. You know what happened there, right? We were going to report in November. Oh, this is November, isn't it? Okay. But we had 2 hurricanes that nullified our meetings and so on, so we get that. And another thing happened during that time. We saw the dining service department, okay, that thing, and we saw them go through feeding us in the long lines when there was no electricity. We saw them work hard to try to get three courses for us, in that Maui. And when we went down there in those lines and so we saw how hard those people worked. We commented, we wrote to the weekly and so on, and we commented how good, how pleased we were, how happy we were, how grateful we were that we had those people. So our attitude is changing also, and that's good, isn't it? That's good. Now, I'm very positive about this whole thing. I think RAC is positive about the whole thing. We had a meeting at 9 o'clock this morning, and it was a good meeting, and we talked about this. And I think there's going to be some changes in the future. I think there are going to be changes that are going to be positive, right? And I thank you all for that. Right. And it says, bon appetit, okay. Whatever that means. Okay, thank you. What else we got? And now our featured speaker, the man who hasn't slept for 3 weeks and doesn't know where his house is any longer, okay. Mr. Sibby.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I think this is my second home, which I enjoy it. I do enjoy, being here and helping and doing everything that we're doing, along with our contractors and all our different departments as well. But I know what's on everybody's mind is the remediation work, where we stand, what's to come, what has been done. I think overall, visibly, everybody can see from the exterior, I'd say about 90 to 95% of the exterior has been taken care of at this point. Minus the roof repairs that need to be done, minus some windows, if not all the windows that need to be addressed. Soffit has been completed as of yesterday. They just completed the entire building, soffit, gutters and downspouts. And I know in the last meeting we had when Gary Avery was here, he talked about the different method that we're using to put the soffit back together. They actually screwed every one of those pieces back up. Not only the pieces that fell and that were damaged, but also the existing pieces, they screwed those up as well. So that's gonna fortify that whole system and hopefully make it last longer, even during some of the thunderstorms that we get, because we know we've lost some of those soffit pieces even during that. Talking about soffit, they will be down at GVT through this weekend and into next week. There's different areas on different buildings that did lose soffit, they lost some gutter, so all that will be addressed this weekend into next week. Plaza West as well, that's gonna get done over there. To talk about some of the interior remediation, I know a big topic is the windows. What's gonna get done with the windows? And like Gary had brought out, we need to be patient, and I'm asking still some more patience because we're still in the process of gathering information. To my knowledge, the engineering reports have been sent to Peak, so they do have that portion of it. Yesterday and today, there's a window contractor that's going through and looking at the windows, and we are getting pricing for new windows, for replacements. So once they gather all that information, then they will make a decision on what's gonna happen with the windows. Realistically speaking, a complete change for all the windows throughout the campus, that would be a very extreme capital project, well over $2 million. I can tell you right now, with all the repairs on the exterior and what's been happening on the interior, we're just under 2 million in repair work. And this includes Plaza West, Plaza Central, the assisted living, and memory care as well. We know in this building we had quite a few, about 15 apartments that were affected to some extent. 3 apartments on this 27 stack, 727, 627, and 527 were extensively affected. So those took the majority of the repair work. GVT, many of you residents at GVT had varying amounts of demolition that was done on that exterior wall. Some just one wall, one room, some had 3 rooms, some had 4 rooms. So, and I know that was a very trying time, and it still is because you have drywall missing from those exterior walls. But we do anticipate by January is what we're looking at to hopefully start the putback process. And when I say putback, means putting back the drywall, putting back the baseboard, and then painting those areas and getting it back to a solid, back to normal condition. What does that mean for the windows? If the plan is to replace the windows, we can still replace the windows if we put the drywall back, because essentially it's just the area around the window drywall that needs to be removed to install a new window. If they come back with a repair that we can do for those existing windows, then there's really no more drywall work that needs to be done. But until we have that full amount of information, we have to wait on putting that drywall back. And I think a few of the residents that we've talked to, they'd rather also wait for that to happen as well. Because what we don't want to happen is put the drywall back and say we get a tropical storm come through or a bad thunderstorm, the wind drives the rain back in, and then we're starting over from square one. We definitely don't want to put anybody through that headache and all that discomfort again. Part of this remediation, we haven't really talked about assisted living and memory care. There's a substantial amount of work that's needing to be done over there as well. Between the 2 buildings, there were 32 apartments, I believe, that were affected. About 11 areas in the common spaces. The first floor of the assisted living building, it exposed a substantial amount of damage that's been happening over the years. And the way the construction is, there's 2 layers of drywall. You have the first layer that you visibly can see, but there's another layer. We actually removed that because all that was saturated and it was wet. And once we removed it, you could see the wood framing of essentially the rafters. There was a lot of rot. It doesn't mean structurally that things were going to collapse, but all that needs to get rebuilt. So a lot of work needs to be done over there. Engineers will be involved. They're involved now. They've already surveyed. So they need to give their, essentially the remediation schedule for that and what the scope is. So even though we see all the work being done here, sometimes you may not see many of the workers here. We've still got probably 20 to 25 workers between those 2 buildings as well. Plaza Central, I'd say about 8 offices, we had to remove the ceiling in those offices. So they just actually have plastic covering those ceilings there because the roof sustained quite a bit of damage. We did have on our capital project list for 2025 for a new roof. Of course, this sped up that process, and essentially we're going to get a new roof on that. But until that happens, we can't put those ceilings back together. So there's a lot of work. It's I won't say small, but they're not structurally demanding work, but it's a lot of cosmetic work, a lot of interior work, and it's just spread out through the campus. And that's why this is going to go into next year without a doubt by the first quarter. So I don't want to give anyone false hope and say by Christmas time your apartment's going to be put back together. Some residents have asked, can I put up our Christmas tree? Especially at GBT, I would suggest go ahead and do that if that's something you want to do. This will go into January by all extents and circumstances at this point. And again, you know, this is not going to take away from our other projects that we have going on. As you saw the asphalt, we picked that back up. The first phase was patching all the areas that needed to be patched from here to the front of campus, so that part is done. There's a couple areas that need to be addressed. The second phase of that, we're going to look at December 9th, getting the plan together to start resealing and striping all the asphalt. So that's going to be pretty extensive. So what that means is essentially they're going to spray a new layer of blacktop sealant, which will give it that fresh black look, and then we're going to restripe everything. So the parking lot, all of covered parking, we're going to need to empty that parking lot so they can complete that at one time. So when I say covered parking, pretty much where all your residents park at, the goal is to empty that parking lot. We'll probably have to bring those cars down to GBT, complete that area, and then the area and visitor parking, move that to the front under covered parking, complete that area, and then bring all the vehicles back. And the reason we can't do it like we did when we painted those canopies, it would really drag out the process. Because I believe we only did about 2 sections at a time when we were painting it. So if we did the ceiling and striping the same way, you would see the patchwork essentially in the floor and the groundwork as well. But I just want to give you a brief overview. That's coming next month. I do want to try to get all that done before Christmas, and that way the campus, you know, looks its best for our guests that are coming up and for the holidays. So that project is coming up. We do have an elevator project at GBT Building 8 that's still in the works. And that's a mod project much like we had over here. Once that's completed, then next year the goal is hopefully to do a couple other buildings, but of course the storm, you know, the work that we're doing here has affected the capital to an extent. I haven't heard anything like we're not going to get any capital projects, so I don't want that rumor or that talk to go around by any means, because they definitely know there's other items that we need to fix on the campus as well. But again, going back to the remediation, as far as the windows, Peak is very much involved with that, and they do understand the seriousness behind it, because again, long term, majority of these windows are 30 years old plus. We could go in and replace windows sporadically, but we really want to try to go through that systematically and get things done so that we know Building 5 is done, Building 6 is done, the first floor here is done, and then we'll go through it that way. That's just a little overview of kind of where everything's at. There's a lot more detailed items. I don't want to go and bore you too much with that. But overall, we're making good progress. There are areas that we can work on, and with 360, just so that everybody's aware, Typically, I meet with the project manager at the beginning of the day and then a few times during the day, but beginning and end, we usually touch base and see where we're at. And then we have a call every Friday with Peak, the ownership, the insurance adjuster. There's also a third-party consultant group that's involved with this process. And then also 360, and then also LCS. And we all get on a call on Friday and see where the work, what's gotten done, what's coming up, what are the costs involved, what do we need to look at, what are the engineering reports. So there's a lot of hands are involved and a lot of pieces are, going in at the same time. Someone did ask me, why are the consultants, involved if insurance may or may not get involved? The third-party consultants are here really in a way to police 360 and make sure the scope aligns with the work that needs to be done. Sometimes they may do, go a little bit extra or not be doing enough. So a third-party person is keeping them on task and then also making sure what Peak wants to be done is getting done and getting done appropriately. So they're looking out for Peak's interest, they're looking out for Freedom Plaza's interest, LCS, and in the end, make sure everything's done for our residents, for all you guys. So there's a lot of people that are involved with this, and really we're all working towards the same common goal. Any questions, any big items or topics that you'd like to, Sarah?
Sibby, many of us go from this building out to our cars sometimes several times a day. How long do you expect our automobiles will be down at GVT while we are taking care of the new asphalt for the covered parking and the visitor parking?
So ideally, the contractor said at worst case, it would be 2 days. If we can clear the parking lot, say if we cleared it over the weekend by Sunday, Monday and Tuesday, they could get in there and get all the covered parking completed. Of course, once we get that plan in place, we'll work with Jeff's team and see if there's, some sort of way we can get a transport involved. As long as weather doesn't get in the way and slow that down. Now, granted, if we see that weather's coming and it's going to be a bad week, we're not going to get started with it. If we come up with another plan that we don't have to move all the vehicles, then we can, execute that. But our goal is to not impact you as much if we don't have to. Yes.
How does this affect getting to golf?
So his question was, how does it affect getting to golf carts? So in addition to the parking lot, the golf cart parking, and then also behind where the dog park is and the garden center, that'll get done as well. So golf carts, once we get to that area, whichever side, if we do it with covered parking or the back, we'll have to move those golf carts out as well. And I think when we were painting that area, when we did the asphalt, we moved all the golf carts in between under covered parking. So at some point, you should be able to have access to it. I think when they do the visitor parking, it should be 2 days at most as well, but those golf carts will be in an area that we can get access to those as well.
You mentioned covered parking, everything is gonna be involved. I'm not undercover, but I still need to move.
Yeah, so essentially anything that's got it's blacktop will get completed. We'll come in the back.
Good morning, Sibby.
Morning.
I have a question about, I know I won't be here, but perhaps during the time that the cars need to be moved, should I give my key to the front desk, or how will that happen?
So once we get the date that we're gonna do that, we could put out in the weekly or memo maybe a week or a couple weeks before, let you know. I would suggest Lavinia would be the best point of contact,
Okay,
because chances are myself or her, more likely myself, will be the one moving some of the vehicles. So we'll tag it much like we did when we painted the covered parking. We tagged it with like a little valet tag, so we'll keep everything in line and we'll do that.
okay, wonderful. My other question is, does FEMA funds come into play in any of what we're trying to do for repairing the damage caused by the hurricane?
To my knowledge, no. But I'm not fully involved with that aspect of it, but I've not heard that we're gonna get any kind of funds from FEMA for this.
Okay, and for, maybe this is an Angie question, but for those of us who may have had damage, and it's individual damage, say like the food that was taken or other things that were damaged during the storm, should we be looking at going through a individual process, or is there an organizational process for FEMA funds?
Get with Angie, email her specifically on that. I know if you got some small items in the apartment that was damaged, we are taking care of some of those items, but if it's extensive, we'll have to, do that case by case and address it that way.
Oh, so you are taking care of some of the smaller items?
Some small items I know like at GBT, there's been some items that maybe got broke during remediation. I know some in this apartment that got wet in the lanai. If it's something we can do immediately, we'll take care of it. But if it's extensive, we may have to, just talk about that and work through it.
Okay, thank you very much.
You got it? Yes?
I'm concerned about one area, and I don't know if you know about it. It's the porch, the roof, over that, pool door that everybody goes into. It's probably to set the temperature of the pool. There's a screen door, but the roof over that is a mess. It was never cleaned.
So I actually just talked with the contractor this morning. It's the roof over to this side.
Yes,
So that roof covers the pool equipment.
yes.
It's actually an exhaust fan that's sitting on there and a piece of, the fan cover is actually from the 7th floor. The whole roof is gonna get replaced
Oh, okay.
because it's a thinner metal than actually what's on our regular roof.
Okay.
But yes,
I
that's-
wanted to make sure I never got an answer to that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's included in there too.
Sibby, how old are the shingles down at GBT?
So I know that those brown shingle roofs there and also at the cart barn, all those were done back in 2015 and 2016. So the shingles are they're not 25 years old by any means. There's a few buildings you can see where the temporary tarp cover is over that. Those are gonna get replaced and addressed, but the shingles themselves, we're not replacing the whole roof. The only roof that shingle will be getting completely replaced is Plaza Central. That building, I believe the last renovation that saw was maybe 2012, somewhere in that, and that was just mainly interior, there was nothing on the exterior that was done. Any other questions? Yes.
I have some wasps making a wasp nest right outside my window. And I thought when they came back by fixing the soffit, they could knock it down, but it's still there.
I'll get with the contractor. Lift is still here. If we can come back there and address it, we will. If not, one of our maintenance guys will take care of it.
Okay, it's 7-Eleven.
Thank you. That's what I was gonna ask next. Any other comments, questions? If not, thank everybody for your patience during all this. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Zibby, appreciate your comments, and, yeah, I'd like to share a little story that, I'm on the first floor, and sometime in the last, 8 or 9 months and so on, there was a leak on the 7th floor. That's a story which is very interesting, but I'm not gonna go into it, so, but there was a leak and it came down all 7 floors to the first floor, I mean, it just came down to the bottom. Right, and it's similar to what you people at GBT are going through. That is, it got the interior of the walls all wet and so on and so forth. And there was a test to see if there was humidity, and it's just what you're going through and so on. And yes, there was humidity. The walls were torn out and so on. Anyway, there was a process of replacement of the sheetrock, Oh, first of all, there was drying out. In one hall, we had 22 of those blowers. So when you people talk about blowers, I've been there, done that. I know what 22 blowers make, what kind of noise they make, right? But my point in what happened here on this leak, it was the people who were involved in repair were wonderful. They were working weekends, they did everything they could to make it as uncomfortable for us as possible. There were people who had to move out of their apartments and go to, another one while the repairs were being done in their apartments. But I'm telling the people at GBT, have hope, have patience. It will get done and it will be done well. That was our experience anyway. Thank you. I gotta tell you one more thing before we leave. See this? It's my wife's. It's a music box that was her father's. Where am I going with this? All right. That was her father's, and she thinks that he got it from his parents. So we're talking back in the 1800s. Her father was born in 1897, right? We've had it for years. It has never worked. The top was ripped off. Must have been one of the 7 moves we made. Right. Well, about 3 weeks ago, I took it up to the woodworking shop. It's fixed, people. It's fixed. It works. They even did some research. Yay! They did some research, and she thought it was German. It wasn't. What was it from? Where was it? Switzerland. Okay, it's from Switzerland. So on. It's also worth about $700. They found out, right? Yeah. So don't take it. But that was done by, you've seen the weeklies, and they keep saying, "Give us your broke. If you broke it, we'll fix it," or something like that. So they do. They do a good job. Let's go. No, I haven't figured. I told you I can't use a computer. I can't use this either. There's one more little tidbit I'd like to give you before we adjourn. Right? In these surveys, people wrote comments. These dining room surveys. And one, I read this. This is the honest to God's truth, people. This is the truth. I'm not exaggerating. People wrote about there was too much salt. Everything was too salty. It was on and on and on. She complained. I don't say she because I don't know if it was a she or a he, right? These are all anonymous. This person complained about the salt. And this is how they concluded their comments. They said, if the salt doesn't stop, she feels her head is going to, or its head is going to turn into a cauliflower. Now, can you imagine? You're on the first floor. You push the button for the elevator, and you wait for the elevator, and finally the door opens. And who comes off on the elevator? A cauliflower head, right? Don't be confused. You've heard it. This is what was written, So I can't wait to see your reaction next time you go to an elevator. Are you going to look for it? Are there any questions for us today? Yes.
What happened to the dress code? I need more shorts in the dining room.
Oh, amen.
What's happened to the dress code? There's been more shorts in the dining room, not the sports bar or the Maui, but I'm talking the dining room. The other night there was 4 in the Jade. And they were t-shirts and shorts.
If you read the code that was put out by RAC, and there is a copy at the hostess stand down there. Anyway, it does say that there are no shorts. You're right, there are no shorts and so on. But it also says violations should be reported to the president. And I have not been no report come to me. When it has happened, it's been very few times. When it has happened, I've gone and spoken to the individual about it. But that's the process anyway. If there's a violation, it should be reported to me. Yeah.
But the new people don't wear name tags, so you don't know who they are.
Oh, they don't wear
They
anything.
don't wear the name tags.
Well.
The server can tell you who it is.
Oh, she says the server can take. Tell me who it is, if you can. All right. If you do see a violator, let me know, because we're gonna deal with it. We're not hesitating about it. I do it anytime, you know. I've done it several times.
I don't think the new people are getting.
Okay. Anything else?
Let me confess, we were headed to the buffet and decided instead to go to dining. I wore shorts to the buffet, and therefore I wore shorts when we went to the dining, so punish me.
This is really about new people moving in, and it's about marketing, to be honest. When new people move in, they need some help. You know, you don't give them their key, take their money, and then let them figure out how to find how to get around. And particularly in this building, I feel sorry for people who are brand new and they have no idea that there is nobody designated that they can ask here. And marketing needs to be in charge of that and address it with new people.
There is a process here where people are assigned a Freedom Friend before they move in to answer their questions. And once they move in, their RAC rep goes to them on the first day and takes them a phone book and gives them a lot of love and compassion and support. But in terms of getting from the front desk to their new apartment, it seems to me that surely they have seen that apartment before. They chose it, they put a deposit on it, they closed on it. So surely they have been there before. And if they're unsure as to how to get there, they could always ask the front desk. But there is a very detailed process of supporting new people when they move in.
Thank you, Sarah. And there have been some questions about this before. As a matter of fact, at 9 o'clock this morning when the council met, that was one of our topics. And the RAC Council is going to address the whole process as, again, we're going to look at, as she pointed out, a host, a friend, all those people who are involved in orientation of new people. It is a problem, but we're going to address it again and see if we can't streamline it and make it better. But we're working on it.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, people? Thank you for your attention, and we'll see you later.